some preseason nights, you watch with your guard up, trying hard not to overreact. Then the Chargers take the field, control both sides of the ball, and bring back a feeling no fan can hide. Maybe something is truly starting to take shape. Bolt fam, get ready. The win over Houston did not provide final answers, but it revealed players fighting to turn opportunity into a real place on this team. Today, we are looking at what those performances made us feel and what they could change. If you felt that different pulse too, subscribe right now. Growth, competition, and one forgotten name all demand our attention. We have to start with what made this night so hard to dismiss as another August exercise. Los Angeles piled up 379 yards against a defense coached by DeMeco Ryans, a coach who has built respected units in Houston. On the other side, the Chargers held the Texans to 209 yards and forced 3 turnovers while Davis Mills handled most of the quarterback snaps. Preseason football calls for perspective, of course, but that level of production does not appear by accident. It comes from players understanding the assignment, executing with speed, and taking their chance before the rotation moves on. That balance matters because the performance came from both sides feeding each other. The defense shortened Houston's chances, the offense kept moving, and players fighting for jobs made every possession feel valuable. Even in August, clean, complementary football reveals who is ready to handle more responsibility. For Los Angeles, that is exactly what this stage should uncover. Not empty preseason noise, but habits that can survive when the competition gets faster and the margin for error starts shrinking every week. Jake Slaughter became one of the best pictures of that maturity. He started at center, then shifted to left guard in the second quarter. That kind of move can unsettle a young player, especially along the interior, where every adjustment happens in tight space and under immediate pressure. Slaughter looked comfortable at both spots. In pass protection, he showed the awareness to identify stunts and twists, communicate the exchange, and pass a defender to his teammate without opening a freeway through the middle. For a team that must protect Justin Herbert and build dependable depth, that versatility matters emotionally and strategically. What excites me most is not simply that he survived at 2 positions. It is how naturally his football IQ and athletic ability showed up in the first meaningful step of this journey. Slaughter still needs to play with lower pad level. As a taller interior lineman, that will remain a key area of development because NFL defenders will attack his center of gravity and try to knock him off his base. That part can be coached. Seeing defensive movement, reacting without panic, and keeping the protection organized are much harder qualities to manufacture. Those are the traits that allow a backup to become someone the entire offense trusts when the depth chart gets tested. I know how much this fan base has suffered watching interior pressure destroy plays before Herbert can even breathe. So when a young lineman offers flexibility at center and guard while showing that kind of mental calm, I will not treat him like a footnote. I see a small piece of hope being built the right way, through the snap, the technique, and the responsibility that comes with protecting this quarterback. Slaughter did not earn a permanent job in one night, but he stopped feeling like some distant projection. This was an excellent beginning. Every rep from here carries a bigger question. How far can that intelligence take him within this offensive line rotation? Slaughter made us lock in on the details. Amar Johnson made it impossible to watch quietly. The running back became the star of the win with 85 yards and 2 touchdowns, scoring the Chargers' first 2 touchdowns of the night. Then the energy in the building changed temperature. Johnson caught the ball and ripped off a 55-yard run after the catch, the longest play by either team, helping set up his second score. That did not look like a player waiting for the roster to hand him room. It looked like somebody running full speed to take that room for himself. Johnson owns sub 4.40 speed, and the number finally came alive on the field. More than once, he beat second-level defenders to the sideline, turned the corner, and changed what looked like a safe Houston angle into a desperate chase. Speed gets attention. Speed connected to production puts pressure on a coaching staff. Johnson did not simply run fast. His burst directly changed the scoreboard. That is why the play felt bigger than one highlight. It showed how Johnson can punish hesitation, turn pursuit into panic, and make a depth chart battle visible to everybody watching. One crease was enough for his case to become louder. That kind of explosion changes the depth conversation because any ordinary carry can suddenly become instant points. Johnson was a preseason favorite in Green Bay last year before the Bolts signed him. Now in his second season out of South Dakota State, he is creating that same conversation in powder blue. This performance may have pushed him toward the RB4 role and a place on the practice squad. More importantly, it forced the staff to imagine what happens if that speed keeps showing up. The fourth running back spot is rarely decided by the prettiest runs alone. Pass protection, receiving, special teams, ball security, and availability all carry weight. One explosive night opens the door. The less glamorous work determines whether it stays open. Johnson showed acceleration that can erase space. Now he has to show that he can also handle the assignments that keep Justin Herbert safe and provide value when the ball is not in his hands. As a fan, it is hard not to want more. Johnson brought joy and pressure into that room. If he repeats this kind of impact, ignoring him becomes much harder. The next competition brought out a completely different emotion though. At quarterback, a chance to slam the door shut ended up having the opposite effect. Trey Lance remains the Chargers' QB2 for all practical purposes. He has taken nearly every second-team rep in camp, knows Mike McDaniel's system, and looked comfortable during passing drills. His mobility gives the staff another tool. With Justin Herbert rarely leaving the field, backup quarterback is not the roster's biggest fire. But a depth chart spot cannot create trust when the football keeps drifting toward danger. Lance completed 12 of 20 passes for 164 yards. He made good throws, commanded stretches, and extended plays with his legs. Ignoring that would be unfair. The problem was the number of potential mistakes. He endangered the ball several times, and on the interception, misread Houston's zone before throwing toward Amarion Johnson. For a quarterback trying to secure the backup job, that image gives his challenger new life. A backup's job is not to chase the spectacular on every snap. It is to keep the offense on schedule, protect field position, and make teammates believe the structure will hold. Every dangerous decision chips away at that belief, especially when the starter is the center of the entire season. That is why near interceptions matter even when the box score never records them officially as turnovers for the opposing defense. But Bolt fam, here is where the story gets interesting. Lance did not lose the job, but he wasted his best chance to make this competition feel finished. His familiarity with McDaniel, accumulated reps, and NFL experience still create a meaningful advantage. Yet this fan base cannot escape one emotional question. If Herbert misses a few games, can the offense keep breathing with Lance deciding under pressure? One or two athletic plays will not be enough. A QB2 must reduce chaos, protect possessions, and keep a temporary absence from swallowing the season. DJ Uiagalelei did not control his opportunity either. He completed 6 of 9 passes for 120 yards, entered shaky, missed early deep throws, and escaped possible interceptions. One quarterback did not collapse while the other took over. The consequences were different. Uiagalelei needed to keep the competition alive. Lance needed to smother it. Only one partially accomplished his goal. Uiagalelei created intrigue during the offseason program, while Lance's underwhelming Week 18 start against Denver still hangs in the background. Lance returned on another one-year deal. Jim Harbaugh indicated limited snaps for the starters, so both quarterbacks should see more action over the next 2 matchups. The former undrafted free agent lacks a clear path to QB2, but the door remains cracked open. I want Lance confident because his physical ability can add something to the plan. But confidence is not a gift. It grows from repeated decisions at full speed. Lance must identify coverage, take the safe play, and stop offering possessions to the defense. Uiagalelei must turn flashes into command. The competition still favors Lance, but the emotional margins shifted. Before, we expected confirmation. Now, we demand a response. After all that tension at quarterback, there is something moving about watching a forgotten player produce until everyone has to remember him. KeAndre Lambert-Smith entered the preseason buried behind louder stories. Quentin Johnston, Ladd McConkey, Trey Harris, the blazing Brennan Thompson, and other receivers trying to climb the rotation. Lambert-Smith looked easy to push out of the conversation. A 5th-round pick last year, he caught only 5 passes across 10 appearances. That resume does not dominate the discussion in August. The field does not care about the outside hype order. Against Houston, he led all receivers with 4 catches for 58 yards. He needed the football to come his way, and then he finished the plays. His connection with Trey Lance adds another layer to the previous debate. As Lance searches for rhythm, Lambert-Smith gains visibility. Volume turning into production gets McDaniel's attention, especially when the player stands 6'1", runs a 4.37, can attack the ball at its highest point, and threatens defenses vertically. He does not have to conquer the entire receiver room at once. He has to make those tools useful within this offense. Not every player who helps shape a season arrives with status. Sometimes depth takes form when somebody overlooked finds a connection, delivers the requested play, and keeps stacking reasons to stay. Lambert-Smith still faces a crowded room. 4 catches do not erase that reality, but they change the way everyone will watch his next practice. That is what makes his response feel personal. He was surrounded by players carrying expectations, yet his answer came through production. No complaint, no demand for attention. 4 catches that forced the room to reconsider where he belongs. There is a reason that hits so deeply. In a competitive room, the least discussed player has to win 2 battles at once, beat the defender across from him, and break through the image people formed before the snap. Against Houston, Lambert-Smith did both without asking anyone's permission. Chargers film room. Pick the part of this performance most likely to keep Lambert-Smith in the fight, and write only that argument: his connection with Lance, his speed, his contested catch ability, or his power to stretch the field. I want to feel which trait this fan base believes would be hardest to cut. His performance closes the circle on this night. Slaughter brought intelligence. Johnson exploded. Lance left a battle alive. Lambert-Smith answered being forgotten. 4 stories push the same message. Reputation cannot define this roster before these opportunities are judged. In Los Angeles, hope only matters when it finds execution. It was only a preseason win, but nobody needs to pretend it did not move us. The Chargers played with production, opportunism, and young players refusing to stay anonymous. Slaughter brought confidence to the interior line. Johnson lit up the backfield. Lance received a warning. Lambert-Smith put himself back in the conversation. Now comes the part that separates one beautiful night from real change. Doing it again. Subscribe to the channel and evaluate that progress with me through the next games. Bolt fam, I need your opinion on this one. Which performance has the best chance to change the Chargers season?